Once upon a time, there was a little ogre named Shrek.
Actually started being built in 1946 was when the permit was applied for, and in 1949 they showed their first movie, and it was a refrigerated air, and everybody liked to come in on Saturday after working in the tobacco fields or shades and come see a movie to be in refrigerated air. And when I moved to town in 1976, it was still a operating theater, but shortly after, because of the multi-theaters and all in Tallahassee, and it closed its doors, and then I think it was in 1979 for about 6 months tried to reopen, and it sat pretty much empty. And after the theater started, we actually started on the stage in the fellowship hall of the First Presbyterian Church here in town, and some of our benefactors endeavored to buy the building and did buy the building. And when we first walked in the building, you could actually stand downstairs and look up and see the sky. So the very first thing we had to do was put a $38,000 roof on the building. And to be in the first show, you had to bring Windex or 409 and rags to clean the seats because they were so dirty. And the first show we had in the theater was Little Abner. And we had no stage. We borrowed some risers from one of the churches here in town. And that was our first production, and it rained, and water flooded in through the outside through one of the openings. So on our last dress rehearsal, everybody had buckets trying to clear the water out of the theater.
I'm originally from England. I've lived in Florida since 1990, and I've been in Tallahassee since 1995. This is my 50th show I've directed locally. I do a lot of work between Leon High School, Quincy, Tallahassee Little Theater, and Theater TCC. I was interested in doing Shrek because, first of all, it's a North Florida premiere, and second of all, I always really liked the movie. I thought the movie was adorable. I think it has a really good message about acceptance and looking beyond appearances, and I really liked the music. And I thought the tech for this show, like the technical elements, the special effects, were really daunting and really challenging, but I've never done a show that needs those sort of things before, so that was exciting to me. We have a 23-foot long dragon puppet that we didn't actually get to see on the stage until Saturday before we opened on the Friday. So that was a big variable, and when you do shows, you like to have as few variables as possible. You want to say, okay, I've got this plan, we're going to run it, it's going to go this way every night, so it becomes almost muscle memory for the actors. And so having that big variable hanging out there was really nerve-wracking, but I think it's also been one of the coolest things about the show. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. The cast is extremely talented, and that always makes your job a whole lot easier. We had almost 100 people audition for the show, and it was very competitive, which is a great problem to have for a director. So the cast has been stellar.
It was a great show. It was a great show, a lot of fun. Kids loved it. Everybody loved it. Adults loved it. The seniors loved it. I loved it. Definitely. Well, I didn't have one specific part of the show that I loved because it was such a great show, but I loved the donkey. He was really hilarious. And I loved, who did I like? The little girl, the little Princess Fiona. She was so cute.
Well, my experience for this show was one of the most memorable. Especially with Jacob Godwin, who played Shrek, and Sonia Roman, who played Fiona. Our experience together, us being together, I believe, is what made the experience most memorable. Past experiences, for the most part, they were all like ensemble roles. And, I really was able to feed off, other fellow ensemble members who also helped create the moment of being ensemble. But for this role, you know, I was able to be an actual lead. So the energy and the stuff that I would get from other ensemble cast members, I really had to create all of that on my own, you know. And so that was pretty much the biggest difference from this role than other roles that I had. You know, this is my first time being a lead in a musical, so that I really had to like pump it up and amp the volume up, and you know, it all made for a great ending result. Oh, I honestly feel, well, based on, you know, the crowd, the audience perspective, I feel like I did a great job in that. They love Donkey, you know. Yes, I mean, anyone coming up behind Eddie Murphy, oh, that is a big shoe to fill, you know. And that was one of the director's, you know, concern, you know, was being true to the character but not imitating what's been already done with Eddie Murphy. And so I really had to hone in on the essence of Donkey without repeating what Eddie Murphy did. Favorite song, I had a lot of fun in Make a Move, but Don't Let Me Go was my favorite. Now, in terms of me, Shrek, and Fiona, my favorite song was Who I'd Be, that ended the first act. With the underlining message being that everyone is equal no matter race, color, shape, or size. We all are equally human, you know, and it's our differences that make us who we are. And it's nothing wrong with being different, you know.
Acceptance and looking beyond appearances and friendship. I hope they laugh a lot. It's a funny show. And I hope they appreciate, there's a lot of really big like musical song and dance numbers, and I hope they really appreciate that too. And I hope ultimately they have fun and get the message of acceptance.
If you haven't seen Shrek, I highly advise you to see the show. That's regardless of if it's at a community theater, professional theater. See it, it's a great show.
Not really. If you love music, if you love fairy tales, if you love inspirational shows, I think that you should just come see the play. I think it's a great show.
Quincy Theater, our founding director in her master's thesis was on community theater, and she found in her research that the average life of a community theater is only 8 years. This is our 31st season. So we hope to believe that we're doing something right, and that, you know, long after I'm gone, this building's going to still be here, there'll still be a theater here. I think it brings so much to the community. You know, Gadsden County, you know, you don't always hear great things about Gadsden County, but there are a lot of good people in Gadsden County, you know, and we got good things here. And so, I mean, it's just I'm excited about it, and I just really looking forward to people coming in, enjoying, and getting to know us.